see Grant's cat's tail. Um, you are watching Over the Fence, a conversation between neighbors. This is a production of Neighborhood Falmouth and intended for Falmouth seniors and anyone who is interested in being a part of our conversation. So our conversationalists today include Marion Bihari, Grant Willis, and sometimes his cat, Mary Pat McKenzie, and Jackie Pratt. And I'm Susan Laux. And again, this is a Neighborhood Falmouth production. So every time we will be having a conversation, we'll start off with a conversation about something. Now, where we end up is anybody's guess. But today we're talking about a memorable photograph. And I have a story about a memorable photograph. The problem is I'm not really sure it is a photograph, but here's the story. So my younger brother was born deaf. He's 3 years younger than I am, the next one in succession in our sibling group. And my parents figured out pretty quickly that he had something going on. And when he was 18 months old, he got his first set of hearing aids, and right into his ear, big long cords with these battery packs on his chest in a kind of a holster. And this photo is a picture of my younger brother, tow-headed, curly hair, sitting on my mom's lap with these bulky hearing aids on, and my dad sitting on the sofa next to them with his trombone. He played sometimes, and he's blowing the trombone. And my brother, Whitney, is crying. And to me, that photo just tells it all. It's like, this is the first time he ever heard. And that's just incredibly powerful to me. But here's the thing. So I remember saying to my mom at one point, so where's that picture of you and Whitney and Dad with the trombone? And she said, what picture? And I said, the one where Whitney first heard for the first time. She said, I have no idea. I've never seen such a picture. So I don't know whether this is something I made up in my head or whether this picture really exists and I've seen it and she has forgotten. But whether it is real or not, I think that is my most memorable photo, or the one I choose to remember today. So who else wants to tell about a memorable photo?
I have a weird one.
Okay.
That related to the Twin Towers in New York. So the year before the Twin Towers were no more, Labor Day weekend, we were in New York with one of Donald's oldest friends who, and I will have to show you the picture, who owned and ran this, he had a television show called Theodore Tugboat. So that's Theodore Tugboat. It's a real tugboat. And there was a tugboat parade down the river outside New York going out to the Statue of Liberty. So we did the parade and then we were kind of coming back and it was dusk and it got very overcast. And this was so strange. And I have a picture, but I don't know where it is. It's in a packing box somewhere. So picture the skyline of New York, the Twin Towers sticking up. And, you really got a good view of them if you were coming back from the Statue of Liberty. And we're on that weird boat, that in the bow of the boat. And forked lightning started shooting down into the top of the buildings. And for some reason, I actually had my camera and it was a panoramic camera. So I took pictures of the forked lightning going into the Twin Towers,
wow,
whole New York skyline. And then of course I mislaid it. And I did find the film the other day that I took it with. So I'm hoping that eventually I'll find the pictures because they were all developed at the time. But it was one of the strangest things because then it was the following September that they were attacked. But it was truly eerie. It really was. The whole jaunt up the river on that boat was weird because people were waving and saying strange things to us.
I can imagine.
I love that you were in a tugboat parade.
Yeah. Well, it's a children's show. There's a series of books, and it was a children's television show in Canada. And Andrew Cochran was the producer and developer. And he was the best man at our wedding. I mean, he's a odd person. And so he had this tugboat and called us up and said, hey, let's all go in the parade together.
Already on the tugboat. So if you find that picture, are you going to frame it?
Yes, yeah, I am. This now I will, because at the time it was kind of like, oh, it was weird and it was fork lightning and going into the building. But the very fact that it was the September before is really strange.
Yeah, it adds a little extra to it.
Yeah, and it's just like a level of weird.
Physical,
Weirder than the tugboat.
What did you say, Jackie?
physical premonition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foreboding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it was an eventful day.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Any other memorable photos? Marion.
Well, every night when I eat dinner, I am in the kitchen and I'm looking at a picture. And I thought it's a memorable picture. It's 52 years old this month. And it was the first picture I had taken with my husband when we were dating for the second time. It's a long story. So I'll show you the picture.
Oh my gosh. Marion, that
Wow.
hair.
Yeah.
Right, and very short dress. Can you see it?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yes, I can't see how short the dress is. You have to, oh my gosh. Look
Oh,
at
you know, it's short.
Wow, that's great.
So a friend of mine took the picture. She was one of my neighbors. And as you can see, my husband doesn't look anything like you know him to look now. But it was a very memorable picture. And when I look at it now and I see all that hair, oh my God. But that's 52 years old.
Wow.
So when you were asking about memorable, that's one picture that's quite memorable for me.
And
Did
how
you save the
did you know
dress?
what was going to happen? You
I
know,
still have the dress. I don't think I could get into it. And actually I was asked if I remember where I bought it, and I have no idea. But I used to,
Great dress.
I love that dress when I was, you
top
know,
dress.
yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
it was the late 60s.
Yeah.
And who could imagine, you know, what would come? You know, you didn't
Right.
know you were going to be married at that point.
No, no, and we got married in September and this was in January or February. And the reason we did not have a long engagement is because he was going into the army. This was Vietnam. And at that time, he didn't know where he was going, but he was going to Georgia for 2 years. And so anyway, it's 6 months before we got married.
Wow. And on your second date.
Yes, correct.
Wow, you guys are fast movers.
Well, I think it's only because of the Vietnam War, because he was leaving. This was taken in Chicago, and he was going to Texas for training.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
Wow.
and then they shaved all his hair off.
Of
Never
course.
to be seen again. No, he probably had long hair though in the 60s.
He had long hair, he had bushy sideburns, and then the pictures when we got married, he had no hair at all. He was just, you know. So,
Shorn, freshly shorn.
yes, very freshly. So
I love it.
that's mine.
Yeah. I was
Jackie,
thinking,
or
yeah, I was thinking about the when you said the 60s and the mini skirts. I had been thinking about the late 60s a lot, you know, when we were talking about demonstrations, because
Right.
I've been but I've been, as John Lewis would say, I've been into good trouble for a long, long time. And I was a very, very active Vietnam War protester in New York City, because that's where I landed after college with my first husband. And it was, the thing is, I remember being in a red mini coat, a beautiful bright red mini coat with a black armband and black vinyl stretch boots on the streets of New York.
Rocking the look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I weighed a little less then.
Everybody did.
And we all. Didn't
Yeah.
we all?
And I, you know, you have to be fashionable in New York. And I, you know, the thing is that our demonstrations were so regimented. We had marshals who would say something to you if you're getting out of line.
Oh,
It was a different world for sure. But
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wow. Wow. You have to tell us more about that sometime.
yeah.
You and your protest history. Maybe we'll do a whole session on
Well,
protest.
I was a very active member of Computer People for Peace.
Of
Yeah,
what?
it was Computer People for Peace, a very radical
Nice.
group. A very radical group of nerds.
That's great. So do you have a memorable photo?
Yes, I do. And some of you saw this last week, and I'm going to put it up here, right there. There we
No, you're
Perfect.
cutting her head off.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
That's good.
Perfect.
I don't want to cut her head off. But
So
this
who
is
is
Emerson,
that?
this is Emerson Rose Wanzer. She's my granddaughter. She'll be 2 in February. And my only grandchild right now. There's another one coming in February, another little girl. And
Nice.
the thing is, what I love about this photo is it's beautiful, but she also looks so sweet in this picture. And of course, Grandma bought her the bathing suit and the hat, you know. So
This
and-
grandma, you grandma.
yeah, this Grandma.
Oh yeah, good.
This grandma, yeah. Well, Max gives me assignments. She'll tell me what she's lacking, you know, go looking for sales. But today, one of the reasons why I picked it out today, I was looking at some other photos, but my son-in-law sent me a video today of her, and he had a baby doll in his hand, and she had this play cup as part of her play tea set, and a wooden spoon, and she was mixing something in her cup. And he said to her, "Would you want to hold the baby and be a big good sister and be sweet and nice to the baby?" And she took her spoon and started beating the baby doll over the head.
Oh no. Not a good foreboding.
I think there may be
No.
some sibling rivalry there.
She's probably getting it out right now. She'll probably be great.
She'll probably be fine because the
Right.
baby will be animated, not a baby doll, not a stiff
Right.
baby doll. But his last comment was, "This isn't going well."
And when is the new baby?
February.
Oh, great.
She might find her really boring because, you know, new babies
Baby
are
asleep.
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. What she's not going to like is the attention to
Oh
give
yeah.
to the new baby. I bet.
Oh yeah.
But because she's been the queen, you know, definitely, or at least the
She may
princess.
stay the queen. The princess coming up might have to wait a while.
But I can't. I'm waiting to her. Emerson Rose's best friend is their dog Annabelle, who has been her constant companion in the crib.
Nice.
You know,
Well,
on
Annabelle will never leave her.
no, and I mean, even she every time she looks like she's going to get into trouble, Annabelle gets them away. So if there's a noisy toy, she barks at it. You know, she's very protective.
Oh
It'll be interesting to see what she does when she has a herd of 2.
yeah.
to her.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Annabelle is an Australian cattle dog.
Oh yeah. Definitely hurting.
Yeah, so Emerson roses are heard.
There you go. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I love that picture. So
Yeah,
I
great.
wish I was there, and I wish it was warm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get your Emerson time. You will.
Oh, I know. Well, I do get, we do Zoom. I mean, the wonderful thing about
Correct.
technology is that I get to visit with her quite a bit. So probably more than if it had been traditional and we didn't have technology.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah. Zoom has been a lifesaver for so many of us.
and they're very good about the daily pictures and videos on her cloud album
Yeah.
and they're terrific about the zooming and my daughter's got no problem at all with leaving her phone with Emerson Rose and doing chores at the same time, and so that we spend quite a bit of time.
That's great.
Yeah,
great.
we've read books. So
Nice.
when my daughters told me that she had a book that she knew that I had a copy of too, and we've read those.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
Great.
cool. That
Yeah.
is cool.
That's
Yeah.
nice of virtually reading together.
yeah, I got a big kick out of it, and but yeah, it's been terrific, Max is doing well with the pregnancy, and she's been able to get the vaccine, and she's happy about that
Nice. Nice.
because
That's a relief.
because she works in a non-COVID unit, but she's a nurse practitioner, a trauma nurse practitioner, but you can't always tell if somebody has
Right.
because of the no
No.
symptoms. And she's so far there hasn't been a problem. There hasn't been an exposure. But she's like she said, I'm just waiting.
Knock
Yeah.
on wood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, if
So-
she got her vaccine, that's a great
Yeah,
start. That's a great start.
yeah.
So Grant, any memorable photo for you?
Yeah, I've been listening to these great stories here, and I'm not sure what I can contribute, but excuse me, a couple of minutes ago, you might have seen me stand up. I retrieved a photograph which always sits near my computer, and the story behind it is somewhat sad. The photograph is 75 years old, and it commemorates a time when I was growing up on Ardmore Street, off Mara Vista. That's the fourth one up from the ocean. I lived with my mother in the house at 5 Ardmore Street, and my aunt, my mother's sister, lived with her son next door at 3 Ardmore Street on the water. Her son was named Bob. He was my cousin, and he was the closest thing I had to a brother because I'm an only child. So if I wanted to play with somebody, there he was. And we did the usual stuff, got into fights, went out and fished and did things like that. And then after we both went away to private schools for high school, and afterwards he dropped out, and I never heard more of him. And I would ask his mother, gee, Aunt Barbara, how's Bob doing? Oh, he's okay. Well, where is he? Oh, he's out west, in California somewhere, I think. But he's working. He's okay. The years passed. my aunt died. My mother died, and I got a letter from a federal prison at Lompoc, California, and it said, "Dear Cuz, it's been a long time, but this is your old buddy Bob asking you for some help. If you could send me $25, it would be great, because then I could get some cigarettes here." And I sat there and I looked at the letter and I went, what was he in for? What did he do? So I sent him back $25, and I think I put a little extra in, and I said, why are you where you are? What's up with this Lompoc? He said, oh, he wrote me back. I got into some trouble with some drug dealers in Thailand, and I had to kill one of them. And they caught me. I was set up. I was the fall guy. There were a lot more people involved, but I was the one who got. I said, Bob, honest to Pete, that's something I never would have expected of you. I mean, where'd you become a drug dealer? He said that's where the money was. He was absolutely happy. Didn't seem downcast or anything like that. Um, and a couple more times he sent me a letter. Can you send me a 20? Can you send me a 50? I need to pay someone off. And I would comply to the best of my ability. And then I got a letter from the prison saying, we understand that you're, correspondent with Robert C. Blank, number 40336122. This is to notify you that he passed away in federal custody 7 days ago on such and such a date. Thank you very much, so-and-so, Bureau of Prisons. And I thought to myself, wow, what, talk about two branches from a tree. I stuck around home and became a lawyer, did what I had to do. And he just went out and saw the world and dealt like James Bond, I guess, with most of the world. But the picture I have with me was taken, as I say, 75 years ago. I'm not sure if we can get that one.
Oh,
Wow. Who are you? Are you the younger one?
I'm the big one.
Oh, wow.
So there you are.
Grand
oh, wow,
cute as a
yes.
button. That's an adorable picture.
I keep it now for the cousin I really never knew, but
Wow.
I grew up with. So there you are.
Hmm.
So that's somewhat different. Thank you.
That is an amazing story. Wow.
People you just get separated from, and all of a sudden,
Do
Well,
you think your aunt knew about where her son was?
oh yes, yeah. I think she just wouldn't tell anybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, she would get very tight-lipped if I
Yeah.
asked her. And as I say, she was gone by the time the letters started coming from the West Coast, um, asking for donations. So I couldn't call her up and say, "Did you know?" and just not tell us because she was gone.
Wow.
So
Well, it strikes me that, you never know who you're going to turn into. And
that's it. That's exactly it.
and yeah, and who you're going to turn into, and you also don't know, I think, and this is maybe just my sort of liberal beating heart, that you never know what trauma or something somebody might have been exposed to at a very early age that might have really shaped how they see the world and operate in the world. And so it's just, and you were close, you were next door, and what a mystery and what different paths you took. And the idea of you, growing up in Falmouth, 75 years ago, and fishing and running around barefoot and stuff like that. It's a fascinating picture to me, which I would love to hear more about at some point.
Yeah.
But that's, wow, that's an amazing story.
The roads diverged in the wood.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was no indication that he would be that different, I assume, that it was just,
Well, as I say, we had our fights, and he liked to style himself as a tough guy. Yeah, do that again, I'll hit you. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that, like Susan said, it came from somewhere. I think perhaps he saw me as the teacher's pet because I was, okay when I was going to school here. It was Lawrence School at that time, and he got ragged a little bit. Why can't you get the grades that Grant gets? But
That's
we
tough.
still liked each other. And my last picture of him, he's like 17 years old, 18 years old. He's he's home for a Christmas vacation from Governor Dummer or whatever the school is. I was at Andover, and as I was a couple of years older than he, so I was like a senior at Andover, and he was a sophomore at Governor Dummer. And we didn't see much of each other except at holidays at that point. And then after we both finished our respective prep schools, I went to the Air Force Academy, and he disappeared.
When did he die, Grant?
I would guess about 25 years ago. So he was probably in his mid 50s,
Uh-huh.
mid,
Wow.
late 40s.
Wow.
And it didn't say how he died. It
Right.
could have been, that's the ultimate puzzle. I mean, was he done in, or just did he die of old age, or what?
Wow.
Prison.
Bad.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Well, I hope that anyone watching will think about a memorable photo that they may have. And if you want to call us at Neighborhood Falmouth, we'd love to hear about your memorable photo. And we hope that maybe you will talk to a friend that you have and exchange your stories about memorable photos, because I think we all have some. And I think about Life magazine and some of those iconic photos that we've all seen of America during the Depression and, around the world. So thank you all for joining us. This has been Over the Fence, a conversation between neighbors, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.